Hello, thank you for joining today. We will be interviewing Desirae Moten, and I'll be talking to her about her debut novel, Home Sweet Home. I have my copy, and you can get yours. The links are down below. All right, let's talk to Desirae. Hi, I'm so happy to be doing this again. I am promoting my second book. It is a fiction novel, YA contemporary, Home Sweet Home. Um, it still feels wild and overwhelming, but is also exciting, and it's amazing that I did it. I finished a second book, and it's going to be, or it is, depending on when you're watching this, out in the world. So yeah, I'm excited. It's fun to be doing questions, to just talk about my book more in case you just want to hear more about it before you purchase. So yeah, I'm ready when you are. Congratulations on your second book. And I thought I'd have some fun with this interview, so I'm going to ask the questions out of order. I know I prepared you, I'm going to go out of order. And so, with that being said, question number one, can you tell us about your writing process with Home Sweet Home and how long you've been working on it? Yeah, we can start with the journey of this book. I like that you're going out of order. So if you don't know, I was playing guessing games on my Instagram. And one of the guessing games was about when did I start Home Sweet Home, which originally had a different title. And so that was 14 years ago. I started Home Sweet Home back in high school in 2010. It was a completely different book, though. Lasher and Olivia were in the book, but Harvey was not. You saw Barry, who is Olivia's dad, you saw him more in my original book than you do now. But it's okay, because I guess this might be a spoiler, but like a little jump. But I do plan to make Olivia have a standalone book. So that's exciting, but I know I'll get into that later. So, yes, the journey of this book, 2010 to now. But was it consistent every year, me writing this book? No. So I did focus a lot, write it, edit it, and continue making drafts with it in high school. By the time I got to college, I stopped completely working on this book. I did pursue creative writing, but I also was taking other classes because I was also a sociology minor, and so I was just focusing on creating other stories or poems for class, and I was doing other things. But by junior year of college, one of my professors was curious to read my book, and so I gave it to him. He read it super fast, and he was like, this was fun, but it's not like your book to publish. Like, it's just fun. And that version, granted, that version that I showed him, he was correct. It was an easy read, but it wasn't the right story that was being told. Like, it needed more, and I agreed with that. And especially because in his class, I was working on another story that did show like family dynamics and like just deeper connection with characters. And the version of Home Sweet Home at the time did not show any of that. And so I didn't want to let that go. Like, his response to Home Sweet Home at the time made me realize, like, wait. Like, I get you. I get you that this version is. It was about. I'm trying to think how to describe it, because growing up, being interested in writing, I feel like there were so many stereotypes done in TV shows and books at the time that I felt like I had to incorporate that in my books, even if I didn't want to. And so stereotypes like, oh, the friends like each other, when I didn't want my characters to, but I thought I had to. Um, I thought I had to show more teen struggle in a big dramatic way, when it was kind of fun to write, but it didn't necessarily feel relatable. And I didn't like that. But I wrote it because I thought that's what sells. You have to do like over dramatic scenes. You have to have a love, some dynamic of a love story involved. Um, and so there was something there, though. There was something there. And so now we jump to 2022. 2022, I just finished my poetry collection, Stay at Home Calls for Poetry, and I'm ready to get back into this novel and give it the attention it deserves. And I realized through doing that there was characters I wasn't exploring. And so I did draft after draft after draft after draft, and I sent it to many different people to give me feedback and help me narrow it down, because when I originally started in 2022, or maybe it was 2020, I'm not exactly positive, but it was definitely in the 2020s, I restarted it. And I had 4 point of views, and that was way too much, and I still didn't know the direction. And then it narrowed down to 2, and I was holding on to keeping Olivia's point of view, but it did not make sense for the book. And so I switched it to, oops, excuse me. Bless you. Excuse me. So I switched it to Lasher. And I knew it would be hard for me to get into Lasher's head, so it took me a while to accept that he needs to be my second point of view. And so that's kind of the journey of how I got here with Home Sweet Home. It was some pauses. It was me still believing in the story, but understanding it needed a completely different direction. And for me to just have deeper conversations about family dynamics, about hardships, about just characters with dreams, but societal issues being in the way of the character reaching the dream, but showing it in a more authentic way, a real way, while also providing hope. Because I do want my books to provide hope and not just be, well, that's it. Like, no, I want it to be, that is it, but there is still, my characters are still trying to change the narrative. And so, yeah, that's the journey of Home Sweet Home. Yeah, I like the way you were promoting your book on Instagram through that trivia for us. That was really cool. And you did just touch on this, so I want to ask this question as number 2. Why did you write in 2 male point of views? Can you explain it more? Yeah, I know. I started to touch on it. So, yes, I can answer that question. So I chose 2 male point of views because basically that's what the story was calling me to do. It originally, when I narrowed it down from 4 point of views to 2, it originally was going to be Olivia and Harvey. But Olivia was basically speaking for Lasher. And after some of my editors helped me see that, like, why isn't well, actually one of my editors did ask, like, why are you doing from male point of views? And then another, or maybe that same editor, but another editor was like, why can't we hear Lasher? And it was because Lasher was calling me. He was like, I heard him in draft saying, like, you just need to explore me. But I knew it would be difficult, and so I had started to think maybe this would just be a book about Harvey. But no, it needed Lasher too, to see Lasher's perspective. And then when I finally dove into Lasher, I saw the complexity of his character, while also seeing his heart and just what he was working towards, what he was fighting for, and how he's, and just how much his journey was needed too. So yeah, that's kind of why 2 male point of views. I did not expect to write in 2 male point of views, but it needed to be done. Because that's kind of how just the story shaped to be. and I kept going with it. So yeah. That's very interesting. It's cool to hear how you were saying that Lasher was like calling you and asking you to like write in his point of view. So that's really interesting. And so question 3 is, why was it important for you to talk about parenthood and fatherhood in Home Sweet Home? Yeah, I talk about parenthood and fatherhood a lot in this book. And I don't necessarily know why that's the direction that Home Sweet Home took, but I wanted to write it in a way that felt authentic while also showing the complexity of the fathers in my story, because I didn't want it to be like, oh, Harvey and Tim's dad has an alcohol addiction, so that's just who he's categorized. No, he had dreams and he is struggling with something internally that the reader doesn't get to see fully, but it's clear that there's more to him, and that is not just about his addiction, but it's also about like, what is he trying to say, how is he showing love and expressing himself. And so he seemed, well, to me, he feels like a very interesting character and not like a one-sided character that we tend to see with people that may be struggling with alcohol addiction. And then thinking about Lasher's dad, we see his struggle, and so the gambling addiction, we see how it came about in his life, but also like how that kind of messed with him into adulthood, into raising Lasher, and then how Lasher started to view him and felt like he didn't have a voice but still wanted respect and love for his dad. And so it's just that complicated parent-child relationships. I wanted to show it because in all my books, I aim to show upbringing. And so in many different ways or form, I want to show upbringing and how a person may come to be who they are. And it's not necessarily yes, you agree with their decisions, or no, you don't agree with their decisions. It's more just seeing the decisions they made and the difficulty that came into their life, or the great moments that were in their life and how that shaped who they are. And so I just want to show that. That's my goal for all my books, is to show upbringing and show just complex characters, but them feeling real or them feeling relatable. So yeah, I think that answers the question. So question number 4. I'm wondering, can you talk about Lasher's name? Why was he named Lasher? I'm very curious. So yeah, Lasher's name is very interesting and different. Lasher. It does stem from the meaning lashing out, to lash out at someone. And I thought, and for a little bit, I did have kind of a part in the story. Well, in one of the drafts, I had a part in the story where I did say how Lasher got his name, but it didn't make it to the final draft because it didn't work still. Like which character I had as who named him, it still didn't flow. And I thought by the end of the final draft, I would have figured out how to weave it in, and I almost did. It kind of feels like I touch on it, but it's still not clear. And it's not clear to me. The reason it's not clear is because it's still not clear to me. And so some answers I just don't have as the writer. And I want to make it feel like as believable as possible to my reader. But I don't want to force an answer or force a reason when that may not be the reason. And so I did try, because I knew this might be a question, like, how did Lasher get his name? Why Lasher? But it didn't work out with me weaving it in, and I'm not upset with that. I don't know if my readers will be, but you can let me know. um, but yeah, it does stem from his family dynamic of those lashing out in his life. So that's what I can answer towards his name. That's very interesting and something to point out how sometimes even the writer, the author, doesn't know what a reason may be behind certain things in the book. So that's interesting, I feel like, for readers. And then question number 5. How would you describe the family dynamics in your book? How would I describe the family dynamics in Home Sweet Home? Unhealthy, imbalanced. So I'll start with Lasher. Lasher is working through trauma, and he's not necessarily aware in the beginning of how traumatic or how hard and heavy his relationship is with his dad, and the negative how do I describe it? The negative outcomes it's causing for Lasher. So and Lasher doesn't understand that him doing self-harm to himself due to his father's actions is not healthy, and he can't see that and is not aware of that toxic relationship until like the middle of the story. And so I would say the family dynamic between Lasher and his family, his dad, but also his mom, is kind of working through and processing and unlearning all he thought about his parents, and then also unlearning all the toxic, not traits, but the toxic habits that he started to do due to his relationships, because he does want more of a loving family relationship, as well as just to understand his family and feel comfortable and not scared when asking questions or sharing his opinion. And it takes a while for him to understand that he needs that healthiness in order to figure out himself and just grow. And then with Harvey, it's a fight, basically. It's a fight to protect his family, while also to understand his dad, to understand his mom, to piece together why they're together and still together after all these years, as well as to protect, be a good brother, be a good son, and still go after his dreams. Harvey just constantly feels in fight mode, and it definitely takes a toll on him, and just how he thinks of himself, how he perceives society, and then what he wants for his future and for his family's future. So yeah. Your book seems to talk about so many like different and important topics, while also not only just touching on the teen boys that are our main characters, but also just the family as a whole, and just seeing also how they're affected. And I think that's really cool. And also, as while reading it, I thought that was very interesting while also important. And so now I'm going to change it up. And so question number 6, what was your favorite scene to write? My favorite scene to write? That's a good question. Yeah. So I call it a bonus chapter, but it's not. It's just a regular chapter in my book. But when I was in my, I guess, third to last final draft, I realized that a scene between Harvey and his mom was missing. And so I put that in. It's not the so I have two bonus chapters that I weaved in before the final draft, but this is one of them. This was the first, and I was proud of myself when rereading it and seeing how it flowed with the whole book. Because one, it helped me tie something together that I was struggling with. So when you read, you'll find out. And two, it showed kind of a softer side between Harvey and his mom, and it added a nice touch. And so I think that was my surprise favorite scene to write, um, because it tied things together and I was able to think of it. Thanks also to my beta reader. My beta reader helped me think of adding that. But I am happy with how it turned out. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite part or favorite scene that I wrote. Nice. So can you or do you have time to read from Home Sweet Home so that the audience can hear a sneak peek? Yeah, I'll share two random excerpts. One, I'll start with Harvey, and then I'll read from Lasher's point of view. Yeah. So Harvey's is on page 128. And just so you know, you will see that Desirae will spell out curse words because she does not curse. So that's why she's spelling it out instead of saying the word. Harvey, Ma says it softly. What are you mad about all the time? I meet Ma's eyes. I'm a delivery driver and working retail. Ma, my real friends are off in college. Lee's away and I'm here and barely even helping you. Kids talk SHIT like they got me figured out. This is not what I want to do. This is not who I am, and I'm tired of them thinking it is. Nobody is accepting my writing. I want to be able to finish school. I want to go to college. You will. God will find a way for you. Ma, come on. We don't got no money for that right now. Right now? But what about the future? Who said you couldn't go to college? Who said that to you? I looked down. No one. So start believing you will. Where there's a will, there's a way. You gotta show you're willing. I don't want to make you worry about me. That's the last thing I want to do. I try to lie low and not do nothing crazy, but when someone pisses me off, I just blow up. Ma shakes her head. She doesn't look at me anymore. She turns and paces, wanting to sit down but not in Dad's chair. I still have the retail job, I remind her. Tim sighs. I turn to him. Say it. Tim shrugs. You always hid me from Dad's disappointing qualities. You always took care of Mom and me. Why aren't you able to now? I shrug. How am I supposed to answer that? Not like I want to be the man of the house. It's like Dad's. Tim bites his lip, unsure whether to finish. I shake my head. When Dad was here, I knew I wanted to be better than him. I point to myself. Now I don't know what better is. It keeps feeling like I throw my arm out. I was wrong for thinking I was a better person than him. You're nothing like him, Tim tells me. That's why I don't get why. It's like you're trying to be. You're better than that, HP. F-U-C-K people. Seriously, F-U-C-K them. There's nothing wrong with caring for your family. And there's nothing wrong with Mom and I protecting you. You don't always have to look out for us. Let's just figure it out together. So it's not you against everyone. We're a family. Remember your goal. College, Uncle Roger says. I swallow. My goal. Yeah. College, writing, workshops, screenplay, drafts, internship, writing contest wins, accepted by an agent, an offer, movie. That goal. And then Lashers, I will start on page 258. I tug at my small coils. What if I don't know how to write about being happy? Well, I want you to know that you're allowed and deserve to be happy, and you can embrace those moments without guilt. You can feel them and grieve while processing it all. I swallow. He said I deserved to be happy. How can I be happy that everything had to happen this way? There couldn't have been another way to happiness? Writing can help you get things out without being guided. You don't try to guide it, you let it guide you. The bad, the ugly, smiles, laughter, confusion. I know that's different than what you'll learn when writing academic papers, but this type of writing is for you, your notebook, and you. It may feel like it's for your dad, but it's not. It's for you, he repeats. That's not selfish. You need that thing that's yours, that helps you. You should proudly have a thing that is yours. I stop tugging at my hair and think about what he's saying. My notebook is where my voice can be my own, where no one controls me but me. Does that make sense? I nod. He slides his chair back and reaches down, opening his bottom drawer. Since working here, I don't always have the time to write during the school day, but I've accumulated 6 notebooks over the past 3 years. I've written with some students, but mostly at the end of the school day or before it starts. Sometimes I'll write after a tough meeting or when I had a good night at home. As humans, we think all the time. We need a place for our thoughts to go sometimes. 2 of the notebooks are spiral, like an everyday school notebook, like mine. But the other 2 are flimsy, paperback. One has a skyline design, while the other has a saying on it. I control the thoughts that come to mind. The last 2 are pocket-sized notebooks. He put them in a line on his desk. Yeah, this one. He slides the notebook with the saying on it forward to me. The olive green and gray colors were just all right, but when I touched the words, it was bumpy. I could actually trace each letter, and that day, at that time, it made the words feel 10 times more special and fitting for me. I let my hand run along the words. It's a nice feeling, not braille, but still standing out. I control the thoughts that come to mind, I mumble. Yes, you do. Remember that, Aaron tells me. I nod. You feeling calmer? Yes, it's true. Thank you for sharing. Those sneak peeks were really good, especially because I feel like it connected to what you were sharing about the characters and about the family dynamics. So sadly, we're out of time, but do you have any closing remarks or things to say? My closing would just be thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you if you have purchased Home Sweet Home. Thank you if now you want to purchase Home Sweet Home. You can share it. I appreciate just you wanting to buy it and that you including it a part of your library, your bookshelf. And I hope it makes you feel like, I don't know, I hope that you can connect with these characters as well as see a new perspective and just take something away about trying to find hope in complicated or hard or heavy conversations. Thank you guys for watching.